So I've been thinking a little bit about the Last of Us, because I've been playing the game, the remake on PS5, and I've been watching the show. Right, we are this week will be 8 episodes out of 9, and I feel like I really do like the show. I like the show a lot. I like the show a lot, but I don't love it. Does that make sense? And I've been trying to put my finger on why. Like, why don't I love it? It's really well made. It's got great actors. I know some people are critical of Bella Ramsey as Ellie, but I really like her. I mean, I like her. I like the character in the game more, especially the first game. She's less likable in the second one. I think that Ellie is a more likable character in the game. And I really think Pedro Pascal is awesome. And I think he does a great job, and they've made him more vulnerable, and I like him. But I like Joel in the game more. And I think they've done a good job with the music, because it's basically the exact same music. And I think they've done a good job with the costumes and the makeup and the sets and the cinematography. But I like all of that stuff in the game more. And this isn't really a criticism, necessarily. We'll get to that. Maybe I just like these things more because I played it first. And it's the original, and it's hard to beat the original, right? Like, that's what I fell in love with in the first place. I fell in love with that Joel and Ellie. They're the real Joel and Ellie. And these are just people pretending to be them. Does that make sense? I know they're fictional in the game and they're fictional in the show, but there is this feeling that the game is the real thing and the show is the imitator. And that, I feel like, is a little bit different than I feel about maybe, say, certain adaptations of books, where that is still true, but it's different. So, for instance, The Lord of the Rings. I read The Lord of the Rings for the first time in 4th grade, and that was when I envisioned those characters in my mind. Probably was sort of influenced a little bit by the animated movie and The Hobbit and all that. But, as I grew up and I reread those books multiple times, I had a pretty set vision of who those characters are and what they look like. And then Peter Jackson's films came out. And they're great movies. But I don't always agree, other than like Gandalf and maybe Galadriel and maybe Sam. At the time, I had really mixed feelings about the casting. Like, I love Ian McKellen as Gandalf. There was never a moment where I didn't love him as Gandalf. He was wonderful right from the beginning. And he is perfect. And to this day, I think he is the perfect Gandalf. And I don't think there'll ever be a better one. But did I like Elijah Wood as Frodo? No, I did not. Do I now? I've warmed up to him as Frodo, but no, I don't really. At first, I even had a hard time with Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn, but I've definitely come around. I think he does a great job. And I just had my own vision in my head, right? For a lot of these characters, some of them more than others. Like, I think they did a great job with with Sam and Merry and Pippin. Perfect casting. Sean Bean as Boromir, pretty dang perfect. Yeah. But I never really cared for Hugo, what's his face, as Elrond. I just picture Elrond differently. And I guess maybe also it was too close to the Matrix. I don't know. But the difference here is that it's my imagination of these characters versus the movie. Whereas in The Last of Us, boy, that was a long-winded way of getting there, right? But in The Last of Us, it's the video game. And I picture the video game. And now I have these competing, the video game and the show. I don't have my own imagination of these. I didn't read the book The Last of Us first, right? There was no book. So I've gotten, my initial impression was the video game and how the way they sounded. You know, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson as Joel and Ellie. Wonderful actors, you know. They've done so much great work in video games and elsewhere. You know, now I'm watching Vox Machina, which is so good. It's so damn good. I think it's the best show of the year so far. Ashley Johnson is Pike. Now when I play The Last of Us, I always picture Pike from Vox Machina because Ashley Johnson's voice. Troy Baker, on the other hand, he does all, you know, his voice for Joel is very different than his natural voice. But there's something about his performance in that's just perfect. I really love Joel and how he is in the game. And as much as I love Pedro Pascal, he just isn't the same. And I don't know if that's just bias, if I'm just biased because I played this first, or if one's objectively better or what. I don't know. I don't know how to parse that out inside myself, right? I don't know. But that's one thing that I feel like is just, you know, I just can't get over it. But there's other things too, because this is a close adaptation, not exactly, but it is close. And there's the sort of the large story beats, right, where you're moving from place to place and meeting different characters and then moving on in the show, right? And it feels in the show sort of a little jarring sometimes. Like, okay, we got these characters and now they're gone. We got this character, now she's dead. We meet these guys, now they're dead. Like, we ought to have spent more time with them because this is a TV show and we feel like we should get to know these people, you know, before we bury them. In the game, I never felt that way. It felt natural in the game, the way that the story progressed. That's also partly because of another factor, which is that in the game, you are always in danger. You are moving through, you know, let's look at just leaving the QZ in Boston, right? In the TV show, they take Ellie, they leave, they get into an encounter with a guard. Joel kills the guard, they escape, they're out. In the game, it's similar, right? They encounter guards, they have to fight and kill these guards, and then they have to escape. But this whole time they're escaping, they're sneaking through, you know, drainage ditches and ruins and stuff. Well, guards are actively looking for them, and you have to hide and sneak and stealth and all that. Then you encounter, you know, even more guards. There's like a lot of guards you have to get past, right? And then there's also some clickers and some other cordyceps infected zombie type things. All this whole segment is, you know, fraught with danger and action and stealth and all this sort of conflict. And in the show, you just skip all of that. There's like a little tiny bit, but you go from leaving Boston to having Tess get killed in the blink of an eye compared to the game, where there's a lot of stuff that happens in between. I don't think they should have cut all that stuff. They should have cut some of it. You can't just have every bit of video game action and whatnot in the show that's in the game. It would just be weird. But there could be a lot more. There could be a lot more of our characters in danger, sneaking past guards, you know, trying to get through infected areas. Like, that stuff has been cut. You know, I keep waiting for more of it, and it's been cut down so much. And it's not that I want it to be more. It's not. I don't want this just because I want it to be more like the game. I'm bothered by it more because it takes away the fear and the tension in a lot of moments where that should be, you know, overbearing. Like, it should feel overwhelmingly dangerous all the time, like it does in the game. Because that just gives you this constant sense of like, crap, what's going to happen? And it's more exciting. And then it comes, you know, when you get to sets or like the locations, like in the game, a lot of these places, it's very dark and it's scary and it's ominous and oppressive and claustrophobic. And in the show, it's kind of sort of clean and fine. It doesn't feel outside of certain moments, it doesn't feel nearly as oppressive and frightening and decayed and dark. And then they go and they do things like that scene where Kathleen, the made up character for the show, and her goons are chasing Joel and Ellie and Sam and Henry, and it's like this Mad Maxian like entourage of a miniature army with vehicles and this huge like over the top action scene. And it's like that just feels goofy. Like it just feels out of place. I would much rather have that tension and the threat of bad guys and zombies and all that spread out over the show, so that you're always under that feeling of like you're never quite safe until you actually reach a place of respite and a safe haven. But for the most part, you're always in danger, rather than just like toss it into the end of one episode where it gets all ridiculous and you have like villains monologuing and shit. So beyond those things, I just feel it's this nebulous thing that I can't quite put my finger on. What is it? And I don't know that I will have a full, clear understanding of that until I've watched all 9 episodes. I did get all 9 screeners, I'll tell you that right at the beginning, and I did not watch all of them because I wanted to watch them on a weekly basis, along with all of my viewers and readers, and talk about them as this unfolded rather than all at once. So I don't have all the answers. I haven't watched the last 2 episodes yet. I'm going to watch the 8th episode so I can put together a review of that episode. But this is where I'm coming into the final stretch of this first season. I really feel like this could have been 2 seasons. I really feel like this could have been extended. And that some of these stories could have been extended. And these characters, we could have had Tess around longer if they'd had more at the beginning of the show of escaping Boston and getting to the capital, like in the game. They could have had... Again, I've said this before, but I think that as good as I really liked the Bill and Frank episode, I thought it was wonderfully done. But I think having Bill survive and then accompany Joel and Ellie for a while would have been better. Just better storytelling. Having Ellie meet Bill is important, and it's sad that they cut that. Having Sam and Henry stick around, just lots of little things that you could have extended these stories, even if that meant changing them from the game to some degree, and you could have added more zombie stuff, more fear, more tension, more action, more. We could have had more. It sort of feels a little hurried. So I like it. I like The Last of Us. But unlike other recent HBO shows, like the House of the Dragon, which I ended up loving that show by the end, or The White Lotus, which I could watch over and over again. It's just so damn good. This feels like it's just missing a few things to make it truly great. And those things I think were mostly already baked into the game, but also required some of that adaptation magic that goes into changing a game into a TV show. What do you think? What am I, what am I missing here? Do you feel the same? Am I just wrong? Do you have a clearer understanding of why maybe you are feeling like something's missing? If you do feel that way, I'd love to hear your insights on this. Because like I said, I think I have some clear ideas of what I think is wrong or what was missing. But then there's something else. There's just something else that I can't quite... Maybe it is just the sum of all of these things that leave this show feeling undercooked, or not quite put together right, or like it's too much imitation and not enough originality. I don't know. See, I'm having a hard time. Somebody help me. I need help. I need you to like and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. And shout out in the comments and all of that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.